So it's human nature to become comfortable and fall into certain patterns, which in some ways can be a good thing. In fact, developing standards, best practices, and routine operation approaches can be highly beneficial and create cost savings and efficiencies. But having blinders on and not being able to see where change is needed and innovation is needed can be one that's extremely challenging for our types of practices and our industry, where it's always about growth and constant change and improvement. So how can we find the balance of keeping things that work, all the while continuing to improve and implement new processes, new innovation, and new technologies on behalf of our patients to give them a much, much better patient experience? To help us explore this, I'm really excited to introduce you to Dr. Amanda Gallagher. She's an incredible orthodontist in Baltimore, Maryland, one whose growth trajectory is phenomenal. You'll be impressed to hear her journey of why she got into ortho, her deliberate approach to what she wants in her life, and how she wants to express her personality and her fingerprints all over her practice and the people that she serves and works with on a daily basis. So Dr. Amanda Gallagher is a change maker. She's one who has an incredibly unique practice, one that meshes aesthetic, orthodontics, and just an overall care for patients that is extremely unique. I'm excited for you guys to get to learn from her as we have at Smile Doctors. She's an influencer all over on social media and also within our organization. It will be very impactful. I'm excited for you guys to see. Welcome to the podcast, Amanda. I am so excited to have you on today to learn from you. You just presented to all of our doctors at our all doctor annual meeting, and I was floored by the pearls that you had to share. I think everyone was, and what makes you so unique. I'm so excited for everyone to get to know you a little bit more today. So let's begin. Give us a little history on your background. How'd you get into ortho? Why did you decide ortho?
So a little bit about me. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I was always a big athlete growing up. So I kind of naturally wanted to go into something in medicine, athletes, orthopedic surgery, something like that. And I think at one point I was thinking physical therapy. I don't have any doctors in my family or anything like that at all. So I didn't know what I was really capable of. And so I started to explore medicine a little bit more. I did some internships in local hospitals and kind of was going the medical route for years. Even in college, I was studied pre-med and was about to take the MCATs. And I majored in health administration in college at James Madison. I had a minor in business. And the more I started learning about managed care and the healthcare system, I realized that I didn't want to go to a place and work in a hospital where I was dictated what I was going to be doing for my patients. And I realized also that maybe I wasn't going to have flexibility in my lifestyle that I wanted, because I knew that I wanted to have a family and I didn't want to have to be on call for sports events and graduations. And I had some family friends that were doctors, and I saw that all that they missed out on. And I knew that that's not the life I wanted. So that's what changed me into thinking about going into dentistry. I didn't know one thing about dentistry. I picked up an internship as part of my health administration program, and I worked in marketing in a periodontal practice because no orthodontist would have me in their office. So I did marketing for a perio practice when I was in college, kind of got in that way. Took my DATs, got into dental school. And dental school, I knew you had to be at the top of the class. And I was like, I'm not going to push. I knew I already pushed myself a lot, but I knew ortho was always out there. So I did well enough, obviously, that I was able to apply to ortho and get into ortho, but really didn't have a whole lot of exposure to it. So that's kind of like my route. I knew I always wanted to be in medicine. I knew I wanted to be a doctor. I also knew that as a female, growing up with females that didn't work, that I wanted to be in control of my own destiny. I didn't want to have to worry about who I married and what they were going to do and what kind of life I would have. So I think, obviously going into dentistry, being a doctor, I was in control of my own destiny. And, here I am now. So that's kind of my pathway to this.
Oh, wow. This intrigues me so much because I know so much about you. I know how you practice, how you market your practice, all about you. I know your incredible husband and family. And so, yes,
Yes.
oh man, I have so many questions for you. So the way you
Yeah.
operate your practice is very different from a marketing standpoint than most
Right.
practices. It's all about you, and you're the face there in your culture, and it exudes all the way through your level of customer service, everything. Tell us about that. Tell us your approach. It's so unique and just inspiring.
It's like I try not to make it about me, but I understand I am the voice and the practice is my name. So try to be mindful of that. I like to educate, patients. I like to be relatable. And I think that obviously having platforms with social media, first it was Facebook back in the day, and then, Instagram, it's allowed me to have the platform to communicate and make patients get to know me, obviously, before they even walk into the practice. I've always been interested in marketing. I don't have any type of degree or, real training. I mean, besides taking some marketing classes in college, but I'm always interested in trying to find a new way to do things to try to connect with people and bring them in. So, what's crazy to think about is I had my practice for 11 years and I've done all of my marketing myself, me and Ben, for the last 11 years. I just hired my sister back in the practice a couple months ago to help me with marketing. And my God, she's like blowing the roof off. Like, it's incredible. But the fact that we've been able to do that, and then I see other practices and I'm like, oh my gosh, they have 4 marketing full-time people working. And like, we've been doing this on our own. It's just, I don't know. It makes me think like, okay, like I knew I was kind of always a little bit different. I don't know why. I just always really liked marketing. It's just something that I've always liked to have my hands on. But yeah, like Instagram is great because then I can connect with people and then people get to know me even before they come in. So
Love it. Love it. And that's what I meant to say. I didn't mean it was all about you, all about the Amanda show. I really did mean this is all just your fingerprints are all over it. It's so personal. People know you. They feel so comfortable there. And yet it just has a different feel. Even walking into your practices, it's something to behold. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you design your practice? What was the feel you were going for and why?
Yeah. So as far as designing the practice, I mean, I purchased my practice. So I bought from a retiring orthodontist back in 2013. It was 2 small little hole in the wall practices, about 1,200 square feet each. One was above a psychic and a 2-story walk up. It was terrible. I was like, I don't want that one. They're like, that's not the deal. Like, you have to get both of them. I was like, this is not representing me. And then the second one, was small, but like I had to, kind of work with it. So as soon as I came in, we had green carpet, we had flesh colored walls. It was one computer in the office. At least there was one computer at the front desk to help schedule. But it's like, I knew that patients deserved better. And just because it was this way for all these years and just kind of basic and boring, I thought like just making the smallest changes. I didn't want to, rock the boat at first. And it's like there was an existing patient base. I wanted them to feel comfortable with what I was doing, but I wanted them to appreciate that I was trying to make things look better. So I started doing, some crown molding, paint. I think I spent like $10,000 total. I mean, I had no money because everything was invested in buying the practice. Spent $10,000 for like a little makeover. And the patients they absolutely loved it. They felt better coming. And then the practice just started to grow. Then the practice started to grow to the point where it was like, there was no room for people to come in there. It was only 1,200 square feet.
Wow.
So patients, standing room only, people were waiting outside the door. And despite me signing, I had to sign a 7-year lease on one place. It was a 5-year lease plus 2-year, I had to take over the existing doctors. Within 3 years, I had to move my location. And so I had 4 years left on the lease when I left. And so I always say that's the, opportunity cost. Like, it would have cost me so much more to stay in that space and limit myself from growing than to take the leap, knowing that it was a risk that I was going to have to pay 2 leases or, a mortgage and a lease, and doing that. So in my mind, when I went to go build that first office of mine, I knew that I wanted to do something different, something outside of the box of orthodontics. I wanted to build something that I was inspired by places that I like to go, like a high-end salon. Like I wanted to feel like that. I wanted to, and I've talked about this before, I wanted a place where moms felt like they were fancy coming to.
Yeah.
And then as things continue to progress, it's actually, well, this is where adults feel comfortable being treated now. They don't want to go to a pediatric clinic. They don't want to go necessarily where all the little kids go. So that really, I just kind of wanted to push the limits as far as like being a place that I felt good to practice in, that represented the quality of the work that I was doing. And I knew like, it was like, if you build it, they will come. And it's like, they did, you know? And I mean, I'm mindful and I know it, the places I build look elaborate, but I am incredibly mindful of how much I spend when doing it. I find really great deals. Like yesterday, I spent the entire day for my de novo, just finding, furniture deals. And I love all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to go crazy to make a big impact. I mean, you can do small things and people really do appreciate it.
I love what you said about the patients and that they deserved better. And often I think as doctors, we make that mistake that we make it about us. And instead of making it about the patient, how can we serve them better and provide a higher level of quality, a higher experience? We have a couple pictures of your practice, of your different offices. Maybe we can walk through some of those and you could just talk us through a little bit. I think it'd be fascinating for those watching the podcast. Let's see what we can do here.
So this is our waiting room of the new space. So the new space that we're going to be building out is in a really up and coming, I guess I want to say it's kind of like an old part of Baltimore that is now being revitalized. And so at one point in the 70s, it was a very booming area. And now it's being redone and like re-energized and reinvigorated with all these great new restaurants coming. So the people that we're going to be serving are all the high-end, private school families. And again, this is just kind of taking, what I usually do. And just every time we do it, we try to do it like a little bit better. But yeah, just doing something that's going to be different, something that's going to stand out. One of the things, and I think that, so if you go to the next photo, one of the things that I realized, because you're talking about, kind of like thinking outside of the box and doing something different. We do sell skincare in our practices. And so I wanted to have a space that we have the ability to do some merchandising as well. So it's not just about like, teeth. It's like giving the patients what they want. The people who are coming into our office are seeking a cosmetic procedure to be done. So we get so into the weeds about class 1, class 2. I care about all that stuff and I want all that stuff to be perfect, but they're coming because they want to make a cosmetic change to their face. Well, they're also going to be focusing on, especially the 30s, 40-year-old females, they're going to be focusing on their skin. They want whiter teeth. They want Botox. They want all these things. And so, what you were just saying about, giving the patients what they want, those are like that's what I think about when I think about the services that we provide for our patients too. It's like giving them what they want. It's not trying to get away from doing orthodontics. It's in addition to. It's like an add-on. So wanted to have an area here where we could do like a little bit of merchandising. I think the next slide is going to show the photos of our clinic in the back. And again, just a clean space, giving a little bit of privacy, but still have that open concept feel. I love having these partitions. I've always done loft glass partitions. So this is like a nice change, move away from that. This is the first one that doesn't have the loft glass, but has this beautiful corrugated glass back there. I mean, it's a beautiful space. And I think the next ones are just kind of like little individual pictures of these treatment bay areas. But I mean, it's like, that looks like a spa.
It does.
I won't be doing white chairs. I'm going to be doing gray because the white would be a little dangerous.
But it feels so comfortable. I see exactly why the adults you mentioned are comfortable in your practice. And I can see exactly why people then go and tell their friend, you have to go here. You need to go check this out. This is so different and unique. What I can say is as impressive as your clinics were with just just the layout, the function, the everything, the aesthetic that you had deliberately planned and had your fingerprints all over for an amazing experience. I can tell you how warm and welcoming it felt. I've been in a lot of locations, and it's really easy to see like who's putting on a show for the visiting doctor, that day, and who's doing what. Your team was so authentic. The doctors that you work with, I could just tell, like it just you could feel it all the way through that the aesthetic is there, but then the warmth and the heart and the welcome is there. And no wonder you're just killing it, just growing like crazy.
Thank you.
With that being said, tell us a little bit about, so you're on this trajectory of growth, you're competitive, you're former athlete currently, all of this. Tell us a little bit about why the decision to join up with a group. Why did that make sense for you? What more did it offer you in a different way?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it was not on my radar at all to join with a group. I was basically my own group. I mean, I have 4 offices. We're going to, now we're going to be opening 5th together, which is a lot of fun, which I can talk about that process as well.
Please do.
Which has been amazing. Yes. But, it was never on my radar because, it's not just me, it's my husband, Ben, so we took a risk, early on, a couple years in. He's a practicing attorney. And he was, when we moved into our new building, we opened this space, it's like just out of the blue, like, yeah, I think I want to work with you. I was like, what? Like, we never had a single conversation. And but that was scary as heck because here I am with staggering student debt, business debt. I mean, I'm not taking any paychecks, and then it's like to lose the entire salary of an attorney on top of that. It made me feel very nervous, but that made me dig in even harder. And because it was like sink or swim, like you gotta make this work. So, been very fortunate to have him, along with this, along with the journey. But I literally could not do this without him. So he has been huge in helping everything to grow, helping the practice grow. He's been huge in allowing me to focus on what I want to focus on, which is excellence in patient care, providing a space that everybody feels really comfortable while he can, work on the back end. So again, we're doing this together. We're taking over the world. And then Zach Casagrande is like, hey, and I was like, I know where this is going. I knew Zach just had joined. And to be honest, I was actually shocked that nobody talked to me earlier. Like, because this is like when everybody started to talk about, joining up in these groups. And I was like, I knew I was out there, but I'm like, do people not see me? And I just kind of like let it go. I didn't pursue anything, but I was like, if somebody wants to talk to me, they'll talk to me. So he brought me to Smile Docs, and we had multiple conversations, and I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like, we are destroying life right now. I had just signed the lease on the 4th office the week before I was contacted by Smile Docs. I'm like, we're doing this. And after several conversations and talking with Zach and talking to multiple other people, Ryan and Tanya, I was like, okay, this is maybe worth the risk. I know I'm continuing to grow, and I was just I didn't know really fully what to expect, but I knew that it was going to be life-changing in many different ways for our family. And I knew who all was involved. I trusted the people that were involved. And I was like, there's no way this can fail, and it will not fail, especially now. Like, if I'm involved, we're going to make sure that we make this work. So joined kind of blindly, not really knowing. We have so much autonomy, and we knew we were going to have autonomy from the beginning. I made it clear that these were the things that I like. This is the type of practice that I have. I want to be able to continue to do this in order to continue to build my brand and for all of us to be successful. And you guys honored that and just let me go with that. And I appreciate that more than anything, is being able to have that autonomy, but also working to focus on some of the things that maybe I wasn't so focused on, which is clinic ordering and supplies. And I just was having my team do that. I don't get into the weeds about that, but if there's a better, more efficient way to do that, that's going to make us all more profitable and better, then absolutely let's do that. So, I wasn't sure, at first I said, no, and then came back a couple times around. And then eventually, we got to the point where we were able to say yes and move forward. And that's almost 3 years ago, which is wild. Like, that's crazy to me.
Wow. It's gone that fast. Yeah, I can't believe it's gone. Wow, it's been 3 years. Wow.
Crazy.
I love what you shared about.
So,
yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. So, but it's like, I think what the most amazing thing about being a part of this organization is the collaboration and the ability to collaborate and have relationships with people that I wasn't talking with previously. Like, I knew Zach. He was a mentor of mine. He would help me when I needed to, but like, nobody in ortho is really collaborating. It's like everybody's on their own. It's like you're on your own island. And when you have a practice, it becomes lonely because, you're the one who's trying to keep everything going. And sometimes like you don't really have anybody to talk to. But then when you're in a group like this, everything becomes very transparent and fluid. And everything is if somebody wants to know what I'm doing for marketing or wants any information, they can have it. They can take it. We can share. Nobody gets weird about people taking ideas. Like, we want to collaborate with each other to make each other better. And I think that is the power of this organization, is the ability for like the best minds in all different areas to come together and just create something new and then to push everything to the next level. And so that's obviously, I'm passionate about that. You can tell. There's like nothing that you can make up, but I am grateful to be a part of something like this now, where I have relationships with friends in North Carolina and Virginia and, Minnesota, and like we can collaborate all the time. We share everything, and it just makes everything a lot easier to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're all seeking excellence. And I think that's it. And like you mentioned before, I'm so excited to put this whole autonomy thing to bed. It's one of all the naysayers always shout, oh, autonomy, they take it away. And I'm like, why in the world would we ever change a Gallagher orthodontist? Why would we go in and strip that and make it something else and pull the heart out of that? No, we want instead just to go, what can we take off your plate so that you can do more of what you are so great at? And that's what we look to do at every location. And then to your point, sharing ideas and going, oh, that might work in my location. Doctors know their areas the best. I mean, we're entrepreneurs. We've built our practices. We know what will fit, what will work. And then it's a matter of, as an organization, how can we support those changes to make it better on behalf of the patients? I can't stress that enough. I love that you said that early in this podcast.
Right.
In your life.
And then supporting.
Go ahead.
Another.
Yeah. And supporting another.
Supporting one another. It's like, if there's something that I'm struggling with, I feel like I have complete access to contact anybody, to be like, just kind of like bounce ideas off of, or, it's like, it's a support all the way around, like emotionally, from a business standpoint. I do think that, it is an incredible organization. And being a female too, we were kind of talking about this, like being like, it's not like male or female kind of thing, but like, I feel like the organization does provide like a lot of support and resources, even for, women, for associate docs, for being able to, say somebody needs to go out on maternity leave, like we have coverage, right? Like we can cover you. It's no, like, you're not trying to figure out and like grasp at straws, like who's going to help take care of, XYZ. It's like, we're here to support you and take care of you, and again, make you successful. So I think there's a lot of benefits, obviously of being part of this organization. And then, taking it another step further is that it's not just, coming in, partnering, and then this is what it is, and we're working within the confines of our four walls. It gives you opportunity to have future growth. Like, not everybody, we signed up for this path to become an orthodontist. Like, this is the path that we signed. We went on that path. We went down that path. We went through all the school. We took on all the debt. We get out. We have to work. But like, maybe that path is not 100% for you. Being a part of an organization like this also allows you to have other opportunities, whether it's, business development or, these other things, or, going further down the road with, Invisalign, leading in other ways within the company too. I think that is it's nice to be able to know that there's other opportunities available to us outside of just the four walls of our practice.
I totally agree. It's awesome to be a part of. I would love for people to get to know a little bit more about the way that you think and your mindset. I've heard you say the way you talk about challenge and the way that you talk about being uncomfortable. Tell us a little bit about your philosophy on that.
Well, I was mentioning to you, I am incredibly uncomfortable not being uncomfortable. And the moment that I start to feel comfort in any way, or like maybe I'm not pushing myself, I become incredibly uncomfortable, and it makes me want to work even harder and more to do more and think outside of the box. And, as far as like me getting into the aesthetics world or whatever it is, it's not because I'm trying to abandon orthodontics and, do something totally different. Like, I don't want to be an aesthetic injector. I've learned that at this point. Like, I don't want to be, I'm thankful that I'm not. Oh gosh, that's a whole different conversation. But then being able to provide or encourage or help patients understand, like, there's other ways that aside from just jaw surgery or TADs and intruding an entire upper arch for a gummy smile, like, you could do Botox, you can do filler. And it's, even though if you're not personally going to do it yourself, like, understanding that there's different ways to do it. So the reason why I started pursuing that is because I wanted to challenge our industry to basically learn more than just the mechanics of moving teeth. Like, we should know facial aesthetics, cosmetics, in my opinion, to be able to direct our patients on the way to go. Like, you don't need a genioplasty. You could do some filler in the chin. You can do filler in the jawline. It's all ways to enhance our results and just give, again, the patients the best experience possible. So again, that was uncomfortable for me to have to do that. It is uncomfortable for me to have to stand up in front of 1,300 orthodontists and orthopreneurs and speak on something that I'm like, I don't know this is going to resonate with anybody, but I'm going to do it anyway. And people probably think I'm crazy, but guess what? There's a lot of people that are doing it now, or there's people that are listening to it. So it's like, again, I like to push the envelope just to kind of see where we can go and just to make all of us better. But yes, I am uncomfortable with being comfortable. So I am constantly looking for ways to grow and to kind of, take things to the next level.
I love that. And
for sure.
And throughout your career, you've been open to pivoting and to looking to see, is there a better way? And even if it's hard, you've pursued that. Yeah. Share some examples about how you've done that just in clinical practice.
Yeah, okay, so the whole thought behind, we don't want patients to look worse before they look better. And, it's a commitment. An adult is coming into your practice, a 30, 40-year-old adult female, and you're going to tell her that she's going to be in braces for the next 18 to 24 months. It's like, that's a big ask. That's a big ask. It's a big ask to like wear a liner. So it's like, okay, what are the things that we can do to help enhance that? And that is honestly why I explored Embrace, and why I went down that path, because I knew there was a better way to get things done. I had it, myself. I had a great experience with it, but again, it's like, there's other things that come with that, and we need to make sure that we are being mindful of the entire picture. We still do Embrace. There are still plenty of patients that want it, but it's making sure that you are charging appropriately for a service like that. If somebody really wants it, they're going to pay for it. They're going to seek you out for it. So it's also like facial filler and Botox and that kind of stuff. So I really went down that path. I started offering it because I was seeing the results that people were getting elsewhere. And I was like, this looks terrible. Like, I know that I could do a better job and I want things to look more natural. But then exploring that, it was taking me out of the clinic as far as seeing patients and doing what I do best, is that connecting and touching of many different people. And it became like I could only see a certain amount of patients and provide this service at the level that I needed it to. So I had to make a hard stop, be like, no more facial fillers. I'm not doing that. We can send to somebody down the road. I now fully understand, what migration looks like, like how things can be improved for our patients, but it's something that I don't want to touch. Botox, we have changed our philosophy on that. I'm not doing any more cosmetic Botox, except for like on the people that I really like or connect with.
Yeah.
But I do Botox TMJ. And that I will take new patients all day long for TMJ Botox, because a lot of the times these are like class 2 patients. They're surgical potentially. There's class 2 Div 2. They need night guards. So I also incorporate treatment into those patients as well. So, but again, I think that's definitely within the wheelhouse of what we do. But these are different pivots. It's like I've gone down that path. Okay, I recognize that this doesn't serve me the best. And then just being able to accept that and like, okay, I spent a lot of time, energy, effort, money into educating myself on this, but that's not the path that I want to go. So it's just, having humility. And again, you train your team to be supportive of all these things. But it's like, if you need to make a change, you just express and tell them, this is not the way that I wanted it to turn out. And so this is the way that we're going to go. And then they respect you. Like if you can be as a leader, be like, okay, not necessarily that I made a mistake. Or I did make a mistake. I think they respect you even more. It's like they know you're trying to be on the cutting edge, but like sometimes you just have to know when to say when.
I love that. I've always admired your leadership, and as you've carved your own path, that's what it is. Like you said it from the beginning that you wanted to control your own destiny from the get on what career path you chose, just everything along the way. And I admire so much just the career that the path you've carved and the way that you've gone. Tell us a little bit about how do you get this when you get pushback, as you are changing, or from maybe from team members, from others inside of your office. How do you lead through that? How do you overcome that? I think that's a question a lot of orthodontics have.
I hear that actually from a lot of orthodontists. And I honestly, I don't get that. And I'm saying that like in a nice way, because I don't allow that to happen. And it's not that I'm like, this is the way it's going to be, like, this is how you're going to do it. It's like, I don't allow that pushback to happen. And they know that I will push it and it is going to be uncomfortable. But if I know that I want this to happen, it's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, you're going to figure it out. And if it's not for you and you're not happy with it or it's uncomfortable for you, then honestly, that can go. And sometimes that stuff just needs to kind of work itself out. And not in a mean way, but I am not limited by what the team says, and I never will be. And they know that. They know when I make a decision that I move forward with it. So when I have orthodontists approach me about, oh, my team doesn't want to do it, or my team XYZ, like, I don't even know what that is, because it's about leading, it's about leadership. It's about you having confidence in what you're doing. And if you can exude confidence, then your team will be confident and they will follow and they're going to listen. If I can tell my team that we are one of the top practices in the entire country, and people look at us because we're doing these different things, they want to buy in too, because they want to be a part of doing something different. But we make sure we let our team know, like, these are all the different things that we're doing. This is what we're involved in. I'm speaking for this. I'm doing whatever, like, we're going to make this work. But then also knowing, like, if it doesn't work, be like, hey, we tried it and it doesn't work. I'm not just going to continue to push through on it just because. But again, I do think it's about leadership. I do think it's about your confidence. I do think it's about your commitment. And team will then follow.
Yeah. And I think you set the vision from the beginning. That's where I relate with this so much. It's always been with my practice. We are the best, most cutting edge, and we want to serve our patients in the best possible way. And so if we need to change process in order to do that, of course we do that, because that's who we are. And you're that way with your team. I think some who struggle, as I've seen some who struggle, it's very much that where they're like, well, we're just getting by, or we're just a very middle of the road practice, kind of happy where we are. And when you have that sense of complacency and just like, it's like, yep, we're just happy to get along and go along, then it just infuses into the team. And of course, they don't want to change. They don't want to do anything different because they haven't been inspired to go, I'm a part of something that paves the way for others to follow. And if we are going to make a mistake, we fail fast. And then we correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another huge piece that that doctors often forget. It's okay to get things wrong and just correct it really quick. Of course, we're not ever going to risk patient care in that way. But if there's a process that, hey, let's try this new process. Let's see if somebody can wear two hats real quick, or we can streamline this a little bit better on behalf of the patient and the workflow. And we try it. If it doesn't work, then we can go right back after giving it a hearty try of a week or two. But that whole thing of pushing back, like, oh, I don't want to change. That's a cancer.
Yeah, I think,
what is helpful is that, to constantly connect with your team on how to think outside of yourself, because I feel like a lot of our team members, it's everybody, it's everywhere. It's no different with my team. They come in and they're focused on themselves, their problems, whatever. And it's like, okay, like the moment you walk through this door, we're thinking about the team. We're thinking about the team. We're thinking about our patients and how to, better serve them. You have to make sure that your team is in line with your why, right? So it's like, that's one of the things I talk about is the understanding and know what your why is to motivate you, but then also make sure your team understands what your why is so that they can carry that vision through. And it does become a challenge the more offices you have, right? It's like more people it's like one thing if you're in one office, you are in complete control of that team right there. But as you have more people, as you have more doctors, as you have more team members, that becomes the difficulty, and just making sure you're always enforcing what is the why in all these people, making sure, and I'm part of the hiring process. I think that's incredibly important. Ben and I do all of our own interviews. We hire all of our own people. We don't delegate that to anybody. There's just certain things like regarding culture and the type of people that we're bringing in that we're not willing to sacrifice. And I think, again, just getting your team to buy into what your why is and reminding them constantly of that, I think is really, really important to get everybody on board.
Beautiful. How many of the ideas of change or process improvement or anything that way come from your team versus come from you?
How many ideas come from them? Yeah. So, so Ben and I do make sure that everybody has the opportunity to have a voice. And often I go to them. I spend maybe even more time like with my front desk crew. Like, because a lot of orthos, you're in the back and you're like dealing with your clinical staff. But I go out front and I'm always talking with them and trying to understand, what can we do that's going to be better? How, what is the new patient process looking like? I am 100% involved in all of that. And I ask them for their feedback and opinions. And then I make an intentional effort to do what they say because I want them to feel empowered. So even though sometimes it might be like, okay, I'm not really sure, I want to make that intentional effort. Even if it comes down to designing t-shirts or marketing ideas, I want them to all feel empowered to bring things to us. And then they do. I think that's incredibly important that you're not the one that's always having all the ideas and having control over that. If you want your team to buy in, you need to allow them the opportunity to speak and then actually follow through with those things. And I do, and again, as we talk, I do think that does set us apart. And it does allow our team to be committed to us because they know that they are very involved.
Love that.
So,
I love that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was going to say, we make, obviously a lot of the decisions, we come up with a lot of ideas, behind the scenes, but we're constantly working with people. It's me and Ben, it's me and my sister, with marketing. It's, me going to the back, talking to them about what their needs are. How are you feeling? What can we do better? I'm always asking people how they feel. You go to my full-time lab girl who's running the lab for all 4 of our offices. Okay, what can we do? But then also just that follow through.
Yeah. I loved what you said about hanging out at the front desk. I don't know. I'd ask every orthodontist listening to this. When was the last time you went to the front desk? Other than something really bad going on with a escalation of some sort. When did you go and really experience what's the verbiage being used? How's it going? Is it exactly what you want? The whole touch and feel all the way through. Oh man, yeah. I think we're all a little guilty of that, of not being up there experiencing that.
I think that's so important.
Tell me a little more about, so it's a collaboration with your team. You set the vision, you bring on board people that you like to be with, that are a fit, that have the heart and the personality of you. It's an extension of you. How do you turn around and appreciate them? Other than the collaboration all around, I hear great things about how you appreciate your team.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we're always doing something to say thank you. And, at some point, like it's like for all different holidays, like Valentine's, like I always make sure we're getting them flowers, we're getting them, little, like a piece of jewelry, like chocolates, like it's just all these touches constantly. It's important, as an owner, doctor, who are doing this. It's like, despite, like, I know some of our team members, it's their first job that they ever had. And, it might be like, this is like just second nature to them, that they just come to expect it. And at the beginning, sometimes I would do things and I would be like, okay, like, do they appreciate that? And maybe people don't appreciate it all the way around, but don't let that change you. You continue to be authentic and you continue to do what makes you happy for them. And then just kind of take that other element. Like if you don't expect anything back, it just makes it so much better, so that is my advice. No matter what, like through all the years, through 11 years of doing this, we've done many different things. We've gone on beach trips together. We've taken entire families, and no matter what, there could be a little something that like is like, well, I don't want to do that again because somebody didn't have a great time or whatever. It's like, just keep being true to you, keep being authentic, keep doing what you know is right. And it doesn't matter in the end, but we try to appreciate them regularly. I love to just do, like come in. I mean, it could just be donuts, like I'm in the office, like who needs some coffee? Who needs some donuts? Go to Dunkin' Donuts, spend like $40, but it's just that constant thought of like, okay, she sees us. It's like a little treat. It's just a little something, doing some lunches. And that's why I try to communicate with our doctors as well, is the importance of them leading the teams too, because it just can't be me at this point in time. Like I can't lead 5 offices. I can't do all this. So empowering our doctors, our associates to be able to do the same thing. Having a rough morning, buy the team, some Starbucks. Like it's just like these constant touches. And I do think it makes a big difference in the way that everybody comes together.
I totally agree with you. That's awesome. So 11 short years, you've built this incredible empire of ortho offices with doctors and services and just in countless patient experiences that you've had. How have you grown as a person over this? As this, who have you had to become in order to be so successful?
Well, thank you for for saying that. This is something I try to communicate with people, because you do change as a person. It doesn't matter. Like no matter what, like life happens. And the person that I was 11 years ago when I first opened the practice, I mean, Ben and I were married for 1 year at that point in time. We had no children. And now we have 3 kids. We have 9, 7, and 5. We have 3 little boys. So we were building the office. Like every time I would build an office, I would have a baby. I had to build an office, I'd have a baby. We'd build an office, And then I got by the 4th office and I had a dog, because I was like, I can't have any more kids, but I can't talk to you about that. You've not stopped at this point.
Right. Well, I don't have to carry them and have them. So yeah.
You do. True. But, it is a lot. And, your values and like yourself as a person. And I do think there is definitely a difference between men and women, men who have a practice and, again, like you said, like you don't have to carry the children. You can go home. Your wife is, whatever it is, whatever the relationship may be, it doesn't make a difference, but it is different for a woman. And I knew it was different the moment I had my first baby, and I was intentional about taking 6 weeks of maternity leave. I had set up, that the previous owner came back and helped me. And I was like, this is time that I'm not going to, get back with my family. So I can relate to that with my female associate doctors. I'm like, take the time because you don't get that time back. And it's like, we'll make whatever sacrifices we need to get through that because that's so important. But I knew when I came back after that first baby, I was like, wow, like if I wanted to be able to stay home and be with my child, like I don't have that as an option. I had so much debt. I had a business to run. I don't have the option to think that that's something that I'm going to do. And so it made me more motivated, to kind of put my head down and to work incredibly hard for a series of years, knowing that I probably was going to give up some of these really young baby years. But by the time that they are the age that they are now, when they really remember that I can be there. And so that was the motivation, honestly, for me growing the practice. I didn't ever intend to have more than one office. I truly didn't. I mean, I bought the two at the beginning because they came together and one was above the psychic, like I said. But I realized that if it was just me, then it's all about me. And it would be harder for me to step back and be able to have the life that I wanted. So I knew early on that I had to hustle, I had to grow, I wanted to grow so that I could eventually have the life that I wanted to, which is where I am at this point in time. So it's not an ego thing, having all these offices. It's about creating the life that I want, that I wanted from the beginning. And, and that's the amazing thing about orthodontics is it allows you to do that. And then obviously them being a part of an organization like this too allows me to continue to do that. And so, yeah, I think people look at me and like, how do you do all this? One, I couldn't do it without Ben. Two, I couldn't do it without our amazing doctors and our incredible team. But it was in the plan all along that this is what I'm going to do in order for me to be able to step back and remove myself just a little bit that I can be with them. And they're not going to know any difference. And I asked my oldest the other day, I was like, do you remember I would get home, I would leave before they even woke up in the morning. I would get home and they were in bed. I would not even see my children at all during the week. I was working 4 to 5 days a week, building. And now it's like, I'm like, do you remember that? And they're like, no. And it's like, because you feel that mom guilt always, but at the point, I'm at baseball every night of the week with Ben, we're doing these things together. And that is why we've built it because but that's the amazing thing. You can build it to be whatever you want it to be, to have the life that you want.
Wow. Well, Amanda, I cannot thank you enough for letting us in just a little bit to your mind, to your heart, to who you are as a person, the way that you've grown. I'm inspired by how you set off from the beginning at a very young age to determine your own future and to go and to seize it and to whatever obstacle came, pivot and to continue to remain uncomfortable and through the whole thing. And I appreciate your partnership. I appreciate your influence on so many people. And I'm glad that you've taken this path and enlightened us today with this, your inspiring thoughts and the way that you impact people. Thank you so much. So it's been awesome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I really appreciate it. And I mean, for all of the people that are watching that do have any questions about, the joining, Smile Docs or, anything like that, I'm more than happy to connect with any of you guys. I always say, honestly, the best way to connect with me is through my Instagram. That is like another way to text me because I run that account myself and it's just at AG Ortho. On Instagram, but I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Anybody that's thinking about this process or any questions, but I'm available.
Right. You're incredible. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.